Hey folks, if you were just getting into bluegrass guitar or bluegrass music in general, if you're wanting to play those hot leads and solos like Billy Strings, it can be a little overwhelming knowing where to start. Or maybe you're even wondering if your guitar is the right fit for the job. So in this video, I'm going to share some tips and tricks for new bluegrass guitarists that are getting into the genre. My name's Cody, by the way. I went to school for bluegrass music at East Tennessee State University's Bluegrass and Old Time Country Music program up there in Johnson City, Tennessee. Therefore, I've got a couple things to share with you. But first off, let's talk about the dreadnought guitar. This body style, which was originally introduced by Martin back in 1916, is what I consider and what most would consider the workhorse of bluegrass music. Why is that? Well, because it's built for projection and power. You can think of a guitar body as like the speaker. It's a literal box. It's just shaped like a guitar. And in a bluegrass jam or in a bluegrass performance, that guitar is competing against a lot of very loud instruments like the banjo and the fiddle. And so you need a powerful box or speaker to project and mix in well with those other instruments. So the dreadnought's larger body and booming bass response makes it perfect for holding its own mix. But it's not just about volume. Yes, you need a bassy sound, but you also need your high end to sparkle, and that's what a dreadnought guitar can give you. Tons of different brands. I'll list some below. You've got Martin, Eastman, Blue Ridge. I own a Recording King. But generally speaking, you're going to want to avoid guitars that have cutaways and radar to a more dreadnought or dreadnought-like style guitar. So you might be asking yourself, can I use other body style? And the answer is yes. Honestly speaking, most guitars will be able to play bluegrass. But in a circle or in a jam, if you're performing on a regular basis, I would definitely recommend finding a body style that, if it's not a dreadnought, closely resembles a dreadnought. You're going to be able to mix through the jam circle, and you're going to feel and sound like a bluegrass picker. Okay, so now that you understand the body style, let's talk quickly about the setup, okay? Now, unfortunately, in bluegrass music, you do need to have your action slightly higher than you might if you're doing like a singer-songwriter or if you're not focused on playing lead and really making these bluegrass runs. Why? Because bluegrass music incorporates slides, hammer-ons, pull-offs, and all of these really require your strings to be situated over the fretboard in a way where they're avoiding fret buzz. The trade-off here is you're going to get a really cool sound, but it definitely can make this style of music slightly more difficult to learn. So I definitely recommend finding a teacher. I offer a beginner bluegrass course, Flat Pick Foundations, where I guide you through 85 plus beginner-friendly bluegrass lessons, and it's designed for anybody that can confidently play their G, C, D open chords and really wants a foundational start to bluegrass guitar. Check the link in the description. But even with a good teacher, you're going to have to practice consistently to get this skill down. Bluegrass guitar is all about muscle memory. Therefore, the more you repeat those runs, licks, and chord changes, the more natural they're going to feel to you. But don't get scared if you don't get it right away. What I tell most students is to definitely have dedicated practice times, but also to lock in that muscle memory. Go watch something on Netflix while you're holding that guitar and just practice making those movements without even really hitting the notes. That's going to help train your fingers, and that's half the battle. Next tip is you're going to want to learn as many bluegrass licks as you can, all right? So the more licks you know, the cooler your breaks are going to sound, and the easier it's going to be to put all of this together, okay? So I recommend starting with your basic G run, C run, and D run, which sound like this. There's tabs in the description, but these runs are like the exclamation points at the end of a sentence. Only in bluegrass music, we play these at the end of measures to really get that bluegrass sound. So you're really going to want to lock these three in and just learn as many as you can, and it's going to make your bluegrass playing sound a lot more interesting. Let's talk about tabs. When you are first starting, tabs are great. They lay a great foundation, and they give you a visual connection to what's happening with both hands and what you're picking and what's on the fretboard. But eventually you want to wean yourself off of those tabs. Why? Because I think of bluegrass music as being a bit of like a living oral tradition. The more you rely on your ears and your eyes to watch what's happening, to see and observe the subtle nuances that occur in this style of music, the quicker you're going to understand what gives bluegrass its soul. I really, really, really believe that observing and watching like it was originally sort of done on the side of a mountain is the ticket to really understanding and playing this music at a higher level. Therefore, I recommend getting the tabs, learning cool phrases, memorizing those phrases, get your fingers used to playing those, and then working those into your playing as you begin to improvise and learn sort of the notes that make up bluegrass runs and solos. Let's talk about capo. So you're definitely going to want to invest in a capo if you're playing this style of music. I recommend a Page capo. They're my preferred brand. Check the link in the description if you'd like to get one directly from me with free shipping and free stickers. Tons of budget options, and they might be great if you're just getting your feet wet, getting started, but eventually you might hit some problems with like tunings, and these are great, the Pages, because they stow behind the headstock here, and if you're like me, you lose them all the time. But you can't play bluegrass without a capo because we're constantly changing keys, and then you're gonna have to move a lot of these licks around and play them in different keys, and a capo makes that super, super simple to do. So grab yourself a capo if you're starting to learn. Next, find a jam circle. Bluegrass music is not meant to be played alone. Therefore, one of the best things you can do is find other pickers to practice with. You can look for local jams, circles, or festivals in your area. If you're not sure where to start, go to a music store and start there. They'll usually know where the musicians hang out and will be able to point you in the right directions to find some bluegrass wherever you're at, or if it's close by or in a neighboring city or what have you. But don't get intimidated. We were all new to bluegrass circles at some point. They're welcoming by nature, and everybody understands that you were there to learn. Point of advice here, if you're new and you're kind of intimidated in joining the circle, just take a few steps back and stay on the outside, and the folks on the inside will know that you're learning, you're observing, and you might not be ready to take a break. Last but not least, listen actively to bluegrass music. And no, I don't just mean Molly Tuttle and Billy Strings. The music has been around for so long, there's so much interesting history. Therefore, spending time listening to the greats like Bill Monroe, Flatt and Scruggs, Tony Rice, Bela Fleck, and noticing how they phrase their solos, how they use their dynamics, and how they interact with each other and the band will give you a lot of insight into this style of music on a larger scale, or in a larger context rather. Actively listening trains your ears and gives you a roadmap for your own playing. Plus, it's just plain fun, and when I was growing up learning this music back in school, I didn't have YouTube and everything to like go and find hundreds and hundreds of performances at the tips of your finger. So that's really cool, and I definitely recommend diving into all the bluegrass on YouTube you can. Tons of stuff to take away from just watching those videos. So there you have it, folks. I hope you found this useful. Let me know in the comments section if you like this sort of thing. Make sure you subscribe. I'll be putting out a lot more content here this year. Happy picking. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.